Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks. With the Spain News Update, we'll take a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here in Spain, and we'll also take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently by viewers. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the Super Thanks option on YouTube, longer-term supporters on Patreon, YouTube channel members. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news. And as we know, over the last 3 days, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has been visiting various African countries, 3 African countries to be exact. He wants to stem the flow of migrants from these African countries to places like the Canary Islands. And while he was on his visit to Africa, some 1,356 migrants arrived on the Canary Island of El Hierro. In an effort to address this persistent and growing migrant crisis, Pedro Sánchez has been intensifying efforts in recent days to find solutions in the countries of origin and transit in West Africa. This week, the Prime Minister completed a 3-day tour of Mauritania, Gambia and Senegal. Meanwhile, in El Hierro, the most congested area in Spain, continued its routine towards collapse. On Tuesday, when the Spanish president's trip began, 2 boats arrived carrying 186 and 56 people respectively. On Wednesday, with Sánchez already in Gambia, 2 more boats arrived carrying 254 and 121 migrants. And yesterday, as the PSOE leader left Africa from Senegal, the frenzy in El Hierro intensified. 4 boats arrived carrying 205, 254, 121 and 159 people. Some figures were still uncertain at the time of publication. In total, almost 800 people arrived on Thursday, and over the 3-day period, 1,356 migrants in total. So there we go. While Prime Minister Sánchez was in those African countries, the boats kept on coming, and according to that newspaper, some 1,356 people arriving in the Canary Islands while Sánchez was on his trip. And this topic now, without a doubt, the #1 political topic in Spain, the topic of migration and what to do. Now, keeping on the topic of migration here in Spain, and as we know, the Prime Minister the other day promoted the idea of circular migration as a solution to this crisis. And basically what this means is that workers are contracted in their country of origin, come to Spain for a certain period of time, and then return once the job is done. Sounds easy, right? Well, as we can read here, 2 businessmen have been arrested for exploiting Moroccan seasonal workers and charging them €22,000 for a contract. The National Police have arrested 2 businessmen in Mallorca from the agricultural sector for labour exploitation of Moroccan seasonal workers. The detainees were charging the workers between €15,000 and €22,000 for a work contract that would allow them to come to Spain legally. This is not the only way the 3 involved were profiting from the migrants, as they were also charging between €6,000 and €8,000 for work contracts that allowed 26 foreign citizens to regularise their status in Spain. Due to the debt they incurred and the need to maintain their contracts to avoid losing their regular residency status in Spain, the foreigners were forced to accept abusive working conditions that violated labour agreements. So the dark side of circular migration right there. 2 unscrupulous businessmen on the island of Mallorca charging migrants €22,000 for a work contract. And how low can you go exploiting people in this way? And the third and final piece of news now, and the city of Barcelona here in Spain is living up to its reputation as one of the most dangerous cities in the country, especially if you have an expensive watch on your wrist. Because as we can read here, Sir Ben Ainsley was mugged at Knifepoint in Barcelona. Charles Benedict Ainsley, better known as Sir Ben Ainsley, skipper of the INEOS Britannica, participating in the America's Cup taking place in Barcelona between August and October, was the victim of a distressing incident on Monday night near the Barceloneta Nautical Club. Several men approached, intimidated him, and, as noted in the police report, with great violence robbed him of a watch valued at several thousand euros, brandishing a knife. Currently, the Mossos d'Esquadra, or Catalan police, are in charge of the investigation, focusing on reviewing the security camera footage around the club to assess the different escape routes the assailants might have used. Once the incident became known, the National Police announced that they would reinforce the security measures being deployed for the event. According to the Catalonia Police headquarters on Tuesday, these operations will be carried out at the port of Barcelona and in the marinas and fishing ports along the coastlines of the provinces of Barcelona, Girona and Tarragona. So there we go, no one is safe from these watch thieves in Barcelona, not even Sir Ben Ainsley. He thought he could just wander around the nautical club there in Barcelona with that expensive Rolex on his wrist. Thought he was in a safe place, but he was wrong, and the watch taken off him at Knifepoint. And good to see police now stepping up security in that part of Spain as a result of this robbery. They could have done it before, but waited for somebody to be attacked at Knifepoint and have their expensive watch stolen. Well done! Now let's take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently. One here from Welsh Todo. Stuart, if anyone needs info about Andalusia, send them my way. I know other regions very well, but top of the list is Andalusia. Every region has its own wonders, but Andalusia is rather special. Yeah, Welsh Todo, thanks for the comment and thanks for offering your services to people that are interested in knowing more about the region of Andalusia here in the south of Spain. We had somebody in the comment section the other day leaving a comment asking me if I know anything about that part of Spain. I know a bit about Andalusia, but I don't consider myself an expert. So if anybody else out there is interested in information about the region of Andalusia, get in contact with Welsh Todo. One here from Liz. I've never had anybody say to me, "Hola Giddy," and I've lived in Seville 20 years. I have been referred to as a Giddy by friends and have referred to myself as a Giddy. Spanish people don't have the same hang-ups to swear words and terms like this as us. It's up to us whether we get upset by it or not. Yeah, Liz, thanks for the comment and an interesting point of view there about the term giddy that, as we saw yesterday in a piece of news, is used here in Spain to refer to foreigners, especially people from the north of Europe or British people that come to Spain. And the question is it an insult or not? Is it used as a derogatory term? Those are some of the questions that many people would like to know the answers to. I suppose it's one of those words that depends on how it's used. Whether it's used in a friendly manner, for example, hola Giddy, ¿qué tal? Or whether it's used in a negative way, for example, Giddies fuera, Giddies go home. So for me, it's not all that clear, and honestly speaking, I prefer the word extranjero. One here from Diego. I think Giddy conveys a tad of contempt. Now addressing a foreigner by hola Giddy is outright out of place. Yeah, Diego, thanks for the comment, and I think I would agree with you there when you say that the word giddy implies a tad of contempt. And I think it's similar to some of the words that we used to throw around in Australia back in the day to refer to people that maybe weren't born in Australia and didn't look like us. For example, people that came from Italy had a word, people that came from Greece had a word, people that came from Vietnam had a word, people that came from Pakistan had a word, people that came from England had a word, but you don't hear those words being thrown around like you used to because people have realized that they can cause harm. So the word giddy, a contentious word still, in my opinion. One here from someone. I have seen water bottles being used to keep flies away. Yeah, someone, thanks for the comment and adding to the debate that we have been having on the channel over the last couple of days or so about why you see bottles of water outside people's houses here in Spain, especially in small towns and villages. Is it to keep animals away, for example dogs, and stop them urinating on people's properties, or is it to keep flies away? I don't know. So if anybody knows the exact answer to this mystery, please let us know in the comment section below. One here from Battle Morph. So many dialects in Spain. A local teacher would really help. Yeah, Battle Morph, thanks for the comment. And this is a topic that popped up in yesterday's live stream because somebody said that it's better to get a Spanish teacher in your local area rather than somebody who lives in another part of Spain and might not be familiar with the local dialect. So for example, if you're living in the south of Spain in an area like Malaga, probably better not to get a teacher from Galicia, and And vice versa. If you're living in Galicia, you don't want a Spanish teacher with acento malagueño. And how many dialects or regional variations are there in Spain? Well, as we can see here, dialects of Spanish in Spain. In Spain, we can distinguish two major varieties of Castilian, the northern and the southern. The northern varieties are those spoken in the northern half of the peninsula, Leonese, Northern Castilian, Churro, Aragonese, and Riojano. They are dialects of Spanish very close to what is considered standard Castilian and are used fairly homogeneously in the northern and central parts of the peninsula. On the other hand, the southern varieties, Andalusian, Canarian, Extremaduran, Murcian, Madrileñan, and Manchego, are spoken in the southern half of Spain and in the Canary Islands and have much more marked phonetic features, the result of the Castilian expansion towards the south of the peninsula during the times of the Reconquista. Thus, and without going into too many subdivisions, we can distinguish a total of 12 dialects in Spanish from Spain. So, there we go, some interesting information on the Spanish language there. There are 12 dialects in Spain, according to that article. One here from Radio 1933. Here in Lanzarote, we have a new petrol station, Plenoil. They sell petrol at only €1.08 a litre. Yeah, Radio, thanks for the comment and welcome to the world of low-cost petrol stations here in Spain with that new competitor, Plenoil, opening up on Lanzarote. And €1.08 for a litre of petrol. Wow, that is cheap considering that we're paying here in Madrid over €1.50 for the same product currently. And that's also at a low-cost service station like Plenoil. However, you have to be careful with some of these low-cost petrol stations because there have been reports in recent times of cars breaking down after filling up with dodgy fuel. I think Plenoil is alright and has a fairly good reputation, but there are some dodgy operators out there, so beware. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.